Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in once again, Gaming Dad's podcast, episode number 11. What's going on? Scotch, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, man?
Doing good. My name's Tharoah, hanging out with Scotch, doing what we do on the weekends, being gaming dads.
Saturday mornings. We upload on Mondays. Well, we try to upload on Mondays. We haven't been very good with that.
It happens. I mean, we're dads. It happens. But yeah, so for me, a lot of people have asked, hey, when do you record the podcast? And I said, look, I stay up all night on Friday night doing random things and then regret it on Saturday morning. Saturday morning is the time that we decided to record the podcast.
And I think it comes out better that we're tired, because it's like you get down to like your dad instincts at that point.
Right.
It's like the same feeling of waking up at 2 a.m. after going to bed, like being like, okay, I'm going to go to bed at 9, and you go to bed at 9 and then waking up at 2 a.m.
Yep.
And your kid's screaming. And you're just like, okay, I've got to get this done. It's the same kind of feeling to a certain degree.
And just so that you guys know that are listening out there, it's funny. We'll plan a time. It will be like 8 a.m. And we're both like, I've realized if we say 8 a.m. as a record time for the podcast, it's really going to be like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Because we have to get in here, we have to talk a little bit about some topics. We have to, banter back and forth and say, oh, hey, wait, did you see this?
And then we just end up like talking for like 2 hours.
Exactly. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. But yeah, gonna get right into it. I do want to kind of caveat this as well. When you guys send us suggestions, we take them seriously. So you'll see them pop up throughout the podcast. It may not pop up that very next episode, but we try to at least cover those things. And we've got a lot of really good suggestions from some of our listeners. So that's awesome. So make sure, again, check us out, Facebook, Twitter. I have a little section in my Discord. You're working on a section in your Discord. Get in touch with us. We want to know what you want to hear. So, but yeah, getting right into it. A lot of games coming out here really, really soon. I know Video Game Donkey has been covering and doing Hitman 3.
He's been playing Hitman just like constantly. He was like on the Mortal Kombat thing for like
it was weird.
A solid week or 2 weeks, and now he's on Hitman.
Yeah, and I've been recently tuning into a lot of his streams. He finally just posted that video. It's a 5-minute video posted, looks like 16 hours ago. But he's been working on that Hitman 3 since before it came out, so I haven't watched it yet. The best video he's come out with in a week was the Super Mario Bros. 2 Dunk View, but that's just my opinion. Yeah. So Hitman 3, I liked the Hitman games back in the day. But I'm more of I just want to go in and blow everything up. And so I'm never really good at stealthy stuff.
So you're more of a Just Cause.
I love Just Cause
than a Hitman, because I think that's the perfect like dichotomatic relationship of games of first person shooters in particular. Well, not even. Well, this is third person, right? Yeah, right. They're both third person. So the perfect dichotomy of two third person shooters, which is Hitman, which it's all about stealth. It's all about like planning everything ahead of time. It's all about having a certain plan and sticking to that plan. Whereas Just Cause, it's I'm just going to take this jetpack
yep.
and go in with a rocket launcher, and I'm going to blow all of this up.
Or I'm going to strap all of these rockets to this cow right here and launch this cow over there, so then it'll explode on that car over there.
Yeah.
I love Just Cause.
Well, it's that it goes back to that whole idea of freedom. And I mean, that's a whole other topic that we can talk about later, really, is, freedom in video games and the relationship to how good a video game is to the freedom of a video game.
Right.
That's a whole other topic, really, that we could probably cover some other time. But that's what you get with Hitman versus Just Cause. Hitman versus, I mean, pretty much any other. I mean, that's the problem with Hitman is it's just so restrictive.
Yeah,
like if you like those restrictive kind of things, it's kind of like Death Stranding was that way.
Right.
It's super restrictive. Like you need to do this specific thing. And I think that's the reason why most people didn't like there was a large group of people that didn't like Death Stranding, but then you had a very hyper specific group of people who just absolutely love Death Stranding and say it's the game of the year. And I'm like, you're crazy.
You're crazy.
You're insane. Literally any other game that you can think of is but
and that was me, like Assassin's Creed. I hated the follow missions. It drove me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so a lot of really good games coming out, and we normally don't see that. I don't know if it's because of COVID that we're seeing more of these like mixtures throughout the year. Mm-hmm. Towards the end of the year is really big for gaming. Summer is really dry for gaming, but we're seeing a lot of stuff coming out. The Medium just recently came out on the Xbox Series X, which is a horror game. Now, I don't know a ton about this game.
Yeah, it looks like one of those like horror. It's a psychological horror.
And I love those types of games.
I'm not. Again, I said in the last podcast, I don't like horror games, so I'm not really looking at it too much.
With friends, like if it's single player, I won't do it.
Right. So I'm not looking at it too much, but I mean, you've got that. The thing about the horror genre is that's another group that there's a dedicated fan base there, and they'll play any decently good horror game.
Right.
I mean, that's the reason why Five Nights at Freddy's got so good.
That's more of a jump scare here recently.
Phasmophobia. I mean, it's all stemming from stuff like Resident Evil,
right?
Back in the mid to late 90s. Those games ended up being very good. Speaking of Resident Evil, have you seen the memes about the new one?
No.
The lady, the vampire lady.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't seen those memes at all? Oh, Tharoah.
What am I missing?
You sweet boy.
Well, to be fair, I've got finals coming up this week, so I've had to cut that internet time back.
I'll send you a couple of memes showing you what that is. But basically, she's a bit of a MILF.
Ooh.
So I don't know.
We like those here at the Game Podcast.
We like a good MILF on the dating guy, the gaming dads podcast. But no, it's all over TikTok in particular. Like everyone's like, ooh, like do you think you think Resident Evil? You think like, especially with the most recent Resident Evil game before this one, you're thinking there was that family and the old guy who wouldn't freaking die,
right?
And then you had the baby that ended up becoming like the monster, or like it was like the toddler ended up becoming this giant grotesque monster, right?
That's about right.
Well, now the villain is a MILF. So
that's fair. Yeah,
I'll send you some videos.
So a couple other games. So a game that I'm excited for. I'm going to skip over one here, but the game I'm excited for, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, coming out in February. That's a game I may speedrun. Like I don't know. I never played 3D World, so I'm happy that it's coming to the Switch. But I've been looking for a new game to kind of play around with, and I love Mario. I've played every single Mario game that's out there. I got into a big argument in a stream a couple weeks back because somebody wanted to say that Mario wasn't in Donkey Kong, and literally that was the basis of Mario. Yeah, exactly.
The very first do Donkey Kong, and then you have Jumpman, which was the inspiration for Mario. Dude.
Correct.
What are you talking about?
And so like he wanted to go on and say no, that wasn't Mario. And I'm like, no, like yeah.
That wasn't. You mean this guy that all he does is jump and break stuff?
Right.
That's not
Mario. I mean, even if you go back into the canon, and it also kind of spurred another thing so I'm going to go off on like a really quick, like 2-minute tangent. It spurred another thing in one of the groups that I'm in, if Waluigi is a real Mario character or not.
Ooh.
And so
that's a good one.
So here's the thing, and here's my argument for. Okay, there's a huge following around Waluigi. So I went back and did research. So Waluigi was actually created to be a tennis partner for Wario. Okay, Waluigi hasn't really been in any. I mean, it has appeared in games. Most recent almost appearances, a quasi appearances in Super Mario Odyssey. You can actually buy the Waluigi costume, but. He was saying, "Oh no, that's not canon." Well, what makes something canon then? He appeared in games. Is it just because you haven't been able to control him? Is that what it is?
Well, and that brings up a whole other thing of like what is actually canon, because I remember. I mean, this is. Like in movies, really, over what I'm going to talk about here is Star Wars, and like whether or not Rey is actually a Skywalker,
right?
And that's a huge debate within the Star Wars community, because technically speaking, in the movie, she says like I'm Rey Skywalker, which to some people that makes it canon. She says in the movie that she's a Skywalker, right? And you have Luke and Leia kind of show up and. Do they give her like the head nod to allow her to be a Skywalker? I don't know, but she wasn't actually even born within the lineage of Skywalkers. It's like a completely separate lineage. The only person in those films that is an actual Skywalker is Kylo. So, and people make the debate, well, she's a Skywalker, she isn't. I'm on the side of she's not a Skywalker. She just isn't. I think she's one of the most powerful Jedi. I think you can call her a Jedi and it's fine within, the whole what do you call it? Within the whole lore of Star Wars. But I don't know. Lore is weird. I don't know.
That's why, look, and this is the equivalent that I brought up. It's funny that you bring up Star Wars because I brought up a very similar, like, equivalent for Waluigi. You're like, well, Waluigi's not even a character, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I mean, Chewbacca is not a main character, but he's in Star Wars,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly, yeah.
And who cares? So, and the argument was, oh, Waluigi was just created to be a tennis partner for Wario. Well, then what was Luigi?
Exactly.
So I don't know. I like Waluigi, and they're like, oh, name a game you can play. And it was funny. It's in a Super Mario 64 Hell group, and they're like, oh, well, name a game that you can play him in. I said, well, Super Mario 64 Online. Like, that's actually, he's integral to the speedrun of 1670 and 120 star in Super Mario 64 Online in the co-op speedruns. So, I don't know. That's my little tangent about Waluigi. You let us know down in the comments. Shoot us a message. Let us know what you think about Waluigi actually being a canon character. But
Waluigi and Smash.
Yeah, there you go.
No, but other games coming out. Harvest Moon.
Yep.
I don't know if you ever played Harvest Moon back. I remember playing it back on the Nintendo 64 and on the GameCube. I remember those two games. What else? New Pokemon Snap.
And she plays that. New Pokemon Snap is going to be huge.
I mean, I don't remember. I don't know of anyone that doesn't like Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Snap is a very simple game, but it's fun. It's got all the Pokemon in there, and it's just a nice, fun little casual game.
Was it Pokemon Snap? No, it was that other Pikachu game for the Nintendo 64 where you had to get that terrible microphone that could only pick up like children.
Hey, you Pikachu?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Prince of Persia.
Yep.
Getting a remake. Amazing game. Prince of Persia obviously had tying in to a later topic here, had a movie made with Jake Gyllenhaal, which wasn't too bad. But but I mean, nothing. I mean, these are good games. It's nothing like crazy exciting though. And again, you're in that lull where it's January, February. You might have a couple games here and there, but really you're moving into this. You're looking at the summer time for games to be released at this point, or at least be announced.
That Left 4 Dead, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so this is, and that's what I really wanted to talk about was Back for Blood. I didn't know about this until I started doing research, and I saw it and I was like, give it to me now. I need this right now in my life, because I just remember playing Left 4 Dead constantly with my friends.
Exactly.
Oh my, and that's the quintessential zombie game.
See, so you do like horror games, but with friends. So
I don't think that Left 4 Dead is a horror game necessarily. Would you consider Call of Duty Zombie Mode a horror game? That's what I mean. I don't think that Left 4 Dead is a horror game. I think it's an FPS. It's an FPS zombie shooter.
Dead Rising. I think it's in the same genre as like Dead Rising.
Yes. So same thing with Dead Rising. Like that's not necessarily horror. Sure. Does it is it a little gory at times? Is it a little like, oh, that's kind of creepy and weird? But it's not like horror. It doesn't give you that feeling of suspense. It doesn't give you that feeling of like, or even like jump scares necessarily. There's like, I mean, the only jump scare that I can think of within Left 4 Dead really is the witch.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, occasionally, if like you hear if something like jumps in front of you without you realizing it's there or something like that, I don't know.
I will say this. I just want to caveat this. Dead Rising was actually the first game I played on Xbox 360, and it was the first time I was exposed to achievements, and I worked really, really hard, and the hardest achievement in that game is called Zombie Genocider, and you have to kill 53,594 zombies without dying.
Oh my God.
And I did it. Like, it was, I'll never forget, I was sitting in Alaska in my buddy's basement because we all just bought Xbox 360, so we're all just kind of playing around with them. And I sat there. It took me like 6 hours, but I did it somehow.
Wow. Dedication.
And fun fact, I didn't even know that that game is actually based in Colorado.
Is it?
Yeah.
That is, well, now that I think about it, yeah, that doesn't surprise me now. Just like thinking about like the background and everything like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, a lot of new games coming out. I'm excited for quite a few of them. I'm even more excited to see what the indie world is going to be doing over the next couple of months. A lot of really good indie stuff coming out. I need to get you, and anybody that's listening, if you want to try it out, check out Brutal Grounds on Steam. So Oddkate, the one who has actually designed, and we're using Oddkate's intro for Gaming Dad's podcast. Oddcat has her own game on Steam, and it's called Brutal Grounds, and it's really cool. So I'm going to bring this up as a part of our releases. They beta test and stream every Friday and Saturday, and basically you're a marble that holds weapons. And so you roll around. It's a top-down view. So you roll around, you aim with your mouse. It is so much fun, and watching these guys is absolutely phenomenal. Matter of fact, we need to make sure that we put the link into Steam for this week's episode. But a shout out to Oddkate for Brutal Grounds, because I'm ready for that to come out. I've been asked to commentate Brutal Grounds matches, and what's really cool about the game is they're building in commentators' tools. So the action that someone's seeing on screen, the commentator's actually controlling, and they can go to different sides of the map. They can see all the scores, everything on one screen versus what the player sees. It's such a cool concept, and they're doing a really good job.
Maybe first Gaming Dad's Twitch stream?
Ooh.
Question mark? Maybe we'll have to workshop that. But anyway, yeah. I mean, good friend of ours, Oddkate. You know, again, just they're working really, really hard on this.
Oh yeah,
dedicating a lot of time and everything. So definitely shout outs to her. I want to shout out Volcanoids.
Yes.
Have you heard about Volcanoids?
I found it on TikTok.
So again, TikTok, big thing. There is a growing basis for video games and, you know, gaming in general on TikTok, and in particular, there's this indie game. Personally, it's a little on the expensive side, just personally, but
right.
it's this one guy basically.
It's worth it though. Like just from the gameplay, it looks beautiful.
It looks amazing. You get to see how everything changes within the game through his TikTok, and he takes recommendations from commenters and everything like that. And basically, it's you build this giant drill that becomes your base. And you have a volcano that erupts every once in a while and destroys everything above the land. So that's why you have this drill so that you can go below.
Right.
And you can, save up your stuff. And you can actually play. It's a multiplayer game, so you can play with your friends. And the whole point is to figure out how to stop the volcano from erupting every single time. And for whatever reason, robots are coming after you, so you have to kill the robots.
It's really cool though, like seeing the game start, because I followed them, I don't know, it was a while back ago, and seeing where they started and where they are now. I think indie gaming is the gaming of the future. Mm-hmm. and I wish that there was like a better platform for indie gamers to be able to advertise that, hey, my game's coming out. And they work really hard. Shout outs to that industry, because I, as a Twitch streamer, have gotten, random messages of, hey, I'll give you a free code to my game. Let me know what it's like. There was one called Nova Drift that I got a free key to play. And I played it on stream a couple of times. And it was a really good game. Mm. So I think I'm excited more about that than I am about any big games coming out, unless there's going to be a Just Cause 5. Right. We kind of talked about it a little bit before we get into our next topic. I want to bring this up. Talked about it a little bit before the podcast today, and how in my personal opinion, I think the gaming industry is going to be changing the how they operate over the next couple of years. Why? Because, cryptocurrency has completely destroyed being able to get a graphics card. Mm-hmm. And so what's happening is you have these AAA developers that are developing these newer games that you're going to require more and more and more hardware to actually play. Well, eventually it's going to hit a brick wall. It's the best graphics cards out right now are like $2,000 because of like Bitcoin mining and things. So I'm turning my focus to indie games more than anything. And Steam is a great place for that. And Unreal, I'm sorry, not Unreal, Unity sponsors a lot of these indie gamers and basically tells them, hey, if you develop a game using the Unity engine, we'll not only give you a grant to be able to develop your game, but you can host it on our platform, and we're not going to take a cut until you make at least $10,000 or $1 million. Which is really cool, because Steam takes a massive cut, takes like 30%. Mm-hmm. So, you see a lot of indie game or a lot of developers that are shying away, and they're going more to like Epic Games. Right. And matter of fact, I think it's Epic Games that's offering, hey, we're not going to take a cut till you make $1 million. And I think it's super smart. I don't know. That's where my eyes are on is nothing but indie gaming. Right. We've seen that with Celeste. We've seen that, with Oddcade and Brutal Grounds. We've seen all of these amazing. Phasmophobia was two guys. Mm-hmm. Two guys just doing their thing. They designed a game that's become a cult classic over the last few, 4 or 5 months. So that's where my eyes are right now. It's great that we're going to have a new, well, not even a new, it's just a remade Mario title. But I really want to see what indie developers are doing.
Well, speaking of indie developers, real quick before we move on, real fast.
Okay.
I didn't ask you this before the podcast. Did you play Black Mesa?
I did. I played a little bit.
There we go.
I did. I played a little bit, and it gave me that nostalgic feel of me sitting at my dad's computer.
Oh, okay.
It was like a Packard Bell. I remember the sticker on the top says blazing fast 75 megahertz. Yeah.
75 megahertz.
Yeah. So, but it gave me that nostalgic feel.
Right.
And I really like that. So I'm looking forward to continuing down the path of Black Mesa, because I don't know, I enjoyed it. It kind of got me. and not necessarily the story, because I've only played a little bit of it, so I haven't been really able to delve into the story, but just the gameplay itself. That old Half-Life 2-esque gameplay. Does that make sense at all?
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to playing that. But yeah, a lot of my gaming time has been spent playing Echo, which is really weird. I know you haven't played it, but we're calling it Minecraft for adults, and it's so much fun. I've actually we've got a server going now, and it's a blast. And I know you've been playing a lot of Minecraft.
We built I think I was telling you, we have a Minecraft server on our Discord, and I found out that I can go into creative mode. It's spectator mode. And it's just so much fun running around and screwing with people a little bit.
Oh, of course.
But played a little Minecraft just because I can chill, I can do my thing. But then I did play a little bit more inside, and I'm terrified.
Exactly. Have you finished it yet?
Huh?
Have you finished it yet?
No, I haven't. I just got past the first water part.
Dude,
where you get the
message
sub.
Message me when you finish it.
Okay.
Like, shoot me a message, because I know your message is going to say, "Oh my god."
Yeah. No, it's I got to the part with the mermaid woman.
Yeah, isn't that creepy?
That is. The first time she came after me was I thought that I was gonna have because in most horror games they show you the villain, right? They show you an enemy and they kind of they just show you it to make you aware this is the villain, and then they go away for a little while. No, that's not what happened here.
Nope.
She appeared, disappeared, and came right back.
Yep.
I was like, wait a minute, I thought there was going to be a lull, and she just attacked me, and I was like, what am I supposed to do?
Exactly.
So,
and guys, we like to let you know what we're playing, so we can kind of give you an idea of what's going on in the life of gaming dads. And for us, we're not paid to play any of these games. These games we buy for each other, or we have viewers that buy them. So, we want to hear your opinion. What do you want us to play?
Or what are you playing? What are you playing that we haven't talked about? What's an indie game that you're playing or that you know about that we haven't heard of?
Well, I talked about Nova Drift a little bit. Eco is taking up most of my time right now.
Yeah.
And I don't really honestly know anything about the background of the developer of Eco. But it's a really cool concept if you've never played it. It's very similar to that the volcanic game you were just mentioning on TikTok, Volcanoids, is that what it is?
Yep.
So Eco, basically you're on a planet. And you're on there with friends, and you start out with literally nothing. You start with a tent. And it's beautiful. The game, there's a buffalo that's hanging around my house right now for some reason. But so it's a beautiful game.
Yeah.
And you look up in the sky, and there's a meteor. And we have our set to where it's about 60 real days out so that we can spend time. But the goal of the game is to spend time together and create a society that can find a way to get rid of this meteor that's going to destroy the planet. But here's the problem. In order to do that, you have to use resources from the planet, which changes how the whole ecosystem works. And there's even a graph in the game where you can click on it and it opens up a website, and it'll tell you, hey, your CO2 emissions have gone up. Or this is the effect that the people are having on this planet and on the ecosystem of the planet. And you can accidentally make a turkey go extinct.
Oh, wow.
And then you don't have that turkey anymore. So it's very collusive. It's a lot of fun. I will say the in-game chat is super creepy because when you use the in-game chat, your character's mouth moves and you just look like a demon child.
Oh, dear God.
It's awkward. But everything else about the game, I absolutely love. The map is not so big. A lot of my friends actually spawned on the other side of the planet. It took me maybe 5 minutes to get over there. But it's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
That's why I stayed up too late last night, was playing that game.
Well, moving from what we've been playing, let's talk about what other people have been playing, in particular, speedrunners. We have not a whole lot of speedrunning news over the past couple of podcasts.
Right.
But
nothing at all.
But recently, Cheese at it again, breaking the world record by 3 seconds.
Yep, 3 seconds total. So that other record stood for 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
And if those that watch speedrunning remember when Simply broke the record, and he was literally in tears. His family came in to congratulate him. It was the most wholesome moment in speedrunning. I loved it.
Well, and I know we talked about this in a previous podcast, but the reason why that particular moment was so important is because he was forced to walk away from speedrunning for a long time because of a hand injury.
Yep,
he couldn't play it.
Exactly.
And then he comes back, and once his hand is healed up, he works his tail off. And
exactly.
Now
and he did it.
Yeah, and he broke the record. Which, by the way, I know that we were talking about this beforehand. The 3 most recent Super Mario 64 world records all have been by individuals while they were doing it without a shirt on.
It works. I'm telling you. All right. So I had a league match. I had a league match last week. I think I mentioned it. And the first, it was a best of 3. The first match, I died like 13 times. I was so mad. Well, I was hot. And there's no camera in league matches. They just take your gameplay and your timer. And so I didn't have my camera on. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I ripped my shirt off, threw it to the side, and then almost PB'd on the next game, I guess.
Dude.
I think we're on to something. I mean,
shirtless speedrunning. It's a new thing.
I don't know. Maybe I'm too coy. Maybe I'm too afraid to do it on webcam. But that's the thing. Like, Simply has always been known for that. Simply will be there for like his entire stream, just sitting there with his shirt off. Cheese has actually ripped his shirt down the middle in frustration in a stream once. And then Kano. I mean, Kano's just a beast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't know about Aki. Aki doesn't use a webcam, so we don't know.
He could just be there, completely in his birthday outfit, his birthday suit, for all we know. But maybe that's where he gets his power from.
Maybe so.
He's just like, I have the power because I don't know.
Maybe so. One other bit of news as far as speedrunning goes. A lot of you know that I love Arcus, the most wholesome Bob Ross of speedrunning. Ninja Gaiden world record holder right now. It's stood for about 2 years right now. And if you haven't checked out the Summoning Salt video on the Ninja Gaiden world record progression, you need to. It's a really, really good video. Even if you're not into speedrunning, you should check it out. And Arcus's battle to pretty much beat Japan and take that world record. Well, he's got a rival now, which is pretty cool. The Retro Runner has been running Ninja Gaiden. It's got about 10,000 attempts at any percent right now, and is less than a half a second away from the world record. So that's really kind of heating up for the Ninja Gaiden community, which is amazing to see. And again, if you're listening right now and you have no clue about speedrunning, let me tell you, I hated speedrunning for the longest. I thought it was stupid. I wanted no part of it. This is so dumb. But if you want good speedrunning that's based upon movement and not glitches and all of this stuff, hit me up. Just message me on Twitter. My DMs are open. Hit me up. I will turn you on to some good stuff. I'm actually working on Double Dragon myself right now, and working with the current world record holder who is teaching me. And so yeah, I mean, lots of really cool stuff going on in the speedrunning community right now. Apparently a bunch of world records were broken with The Sims 4 here recently, which is kind of funny.
I swear, speedrunners will speedrun anything.
They will.
Oh my goodness.
They will.
Oh man.
But yeah, because this is actually called Woohoo %.
Woohoo!
So, and it's basically you go in, and the goal is to get a woohoo with any sim. The world record is 38 seconds into the game, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so I mean, that's what's going on in the speedrunning community. Lots of new world records, lots of really cool stuff going on. I don't know. I'm excited to be a part of speedrunning right now.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this in a previous episode. I mean, just speedrun everything. That was to keep it in 2021, right? Speedrun everything.
Yeah, it was. And matter of fact, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but if you go on YouTube and search Arcus, he actually has a speedrun of him making a burrito. It's amazing. I'm going to send you the video because it's only 13 seconds.
I saw that.
It's so good, but I guess somebody beat his world record, so now he's going to be going back to
back at burrito percent speedruns.
Yep, exactly. So
that's funny.
Well, cool. So this next topic was actually suggested by one of our listeners. I know Chaotic loves to give us really, really good topics, and this one is more recent. Covering the gaming community with Ninja specifically.
Ninja,
and for those of you, Fortnite. I mean, who doesn't know Ninja? Yeah, Fortnite has, broke the record at one point, streaming with Drake on Fortnite. He's just the blue-haired kid.
He's built a personality out of it, man. And you know what? Yes. And to be fair, like as much of it, Ninja was like such a meme back in late 2019, early 2020.
Right.
He's become an icon, and I think that's something to be reckoned with.
I agree, and he's built his entire business around it. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, and this goes for influencers on TikTok, on Instagram, on anything like that. The news story states, Ninja says it's not my job to educate racist and sexist kids on his stream. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. If you're an influencer, I mean, look at that word, influencer, right? You can use that for good or for bad. Mm-hmm. It's like the Force, you're influencing people's lives. I know you've talked about your TikTok, and the demographic of your TikTok is typically teens, maybe early 20s there. And you have the opportunity to be able to influence someone for the good, mm-hmm. right? Well, Ninja is basically taking the stance of that's not my responsibility. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm here to tell you, as a dad, yeah, it is. We see that in Hollywood a lot. We've seen that most recently in football. Mm-hmm. The Colin Kaepernick situation over the past couple of years with kneeling during the national anthem. Guess what? He saw his opportunity, whether you agree with him or not. That's not the point here. But he saw an opportunity to be able to use his influence in his platform to teach and to bring light to a cause that he feels is incredibly important. And I can't blame him for that. Mm-hmm. Right. And to caveat that as well, people are saying, he's disrespecting the troops. Guess what? I am a combat disabled veteran who's saying, no, he's not. Mm-hmm. For me, my personal opinion is I fought for the freedoms of whatever the heck you want to do. Mm-hmm. That's what freedom is. So the thing is with Ninja specifically, he's got this audience, averaging hundreds of thousands of views at a time. And yeah, he does have that responsibility. If someone comes into my stream, and I don't consider myself an influencer, but if someone comes into my stream and says, hey, I'm really down, I'm really thinking about ending it all, I have a responsibility to say something. Mm-hmm. I absolutely, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't, and so if people are being sexist or being racist in my stream, I'm going to address it. And I average 30 viewers a stream, so I don't know. What's your take on it?
So this happens rarely on the Gaming Dads podcast, but I'm actually going to disagree with you.
Ooh.
Controversy. No, I agree with you to a certain degree, but at the same time, having I'm not a big guy on TikTok. Sure, I don't know what you consider big anymore, because I had people being like, well, you're famous. I'm like, I'm not famous. They're like, well, you have 350,000 followers. I'm like, I don't but I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy. I'm not anyone in particular. Like Tom Cruise is famous. Okay. Anne Hathaway is famous.
And infamous. Yeah.
I'm an idiot with a phone and a wife who, tolerates what I do. That's what I am. But I have gotten those emails. I have gotten those messages and been like, and had people be like, hey, I'm going through this.
Right.
or I've gotten the comments that say you make my day better.
Right.
And having reflected on that for a while now, because it's been about month and a half, 2 months since this whole thing started for me.
Yeah.
It's jarring. It's weird because it's like, I'm just a person. I'm not anyone in particular, right? Sure. Do I have somewhat of a responsibility to respond? Yes. But at the same time, I'm not responsible for what you do necessarily. I just create content, right?
Of course.
Is it good? Is it right for me to respond? Is it right for me to, do these things? Sure. But it's not necessarily my responsibility per se. I mean, I could just as easily not respond at all and still be okay. It's not morally unjustified for me to not respond because it's me taking care of myself. I have to, worry about my own emotional well-being.
Of course.
And
absolutely.
me getting, like, the first email I got about, like, hey, I'm going through a really rough time myself and I don't know what to do. I was just like, I don't know how to handle this.
Sure.
It was really emotionally kind of like a thing for me. I had to take like a day to kind of like reflect on it and really think about it, because now I'm taking on someone else's pain. Right. And I mean, you and I talked about this. Like, my wife and I, and my family, we're going through a lot right now ourselves. Like, we're trying really hard to get through some stuff. And I talk about that with my followers, and I let them know, like, hey, I'm not okay. Like, today was not a good day,
Right.
So I have to worry about my own emotional well-being, especially as a father and a dad and a husband. Because I have to take on the emotional well-being of my family as well. So not only am I taking care of myself, taking care of my family, but also now I have some sort of responsibility to a follower who they watch my video occasionally,
right?
Or they they watched all of my videos and they've dedicated themselves to me completely. I don't know, but I don't know you, and I think that's the big point. Is that I think that one of the problems with this situation is that followers and subscribers have a problem with separating themselves from the creator.
Yes, they can. I was going to bring that up.
I'm not your friend. Not necessarily. No, like if you really think about like what being a friend is per se, I'm not necessarily your friend. Sure, I'll be friendly towards you.
Absolutely.
I love you just as much as I love like anyone else. And and you know what? I especially appreciate that you would take the time out of your day to watch my videos, that you would shoot me a comment, shoot me a message. I appreciate that you would think, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll message that person, and I will try my best to get back to you. I'm not gonna, and I've done that for just about every single person who's donated, for anyone who's commented, that sort of thing, right? Or any emails that I've gotten where it's been like, hey, this happened to my dad died. Okay, I'm gonna send a quick message and be honest, be like, look, son, I don't know what to say to you, but I hope that things get better. Like, I this is weird for me to be emailing you and talking about this, but I hope that things get better. And I know that you're in my thoughts.
That's the thing. And Ninja talks about it throughout this interview. And I think what you're doing is the right thing. And I don't have the perspective of having that larger population like that following. However, I think his stance is even further than that. In the interview, he was asked, what if it happens on his stream? And his exact response is it my job to have a conversation with this kid? No, because the first thing that's going on in my head is this kid is doing it on purpose to troll me. Now, I get it. Like, I 100% get it. But, for somebody like as big as Ninja, right, who has that influential power, nobody's asking him to have a one-on-one interaction and sit down and say, hey, young guy, this is not okay.
Well,
but
here's my question to you, though. And I mean, does he have to respond to every single comment that does that?
No, not at all.
Like,
that's why he has a mod team.
Well, and that's the thing, right? He has a mod team that takes care of that. So does the mod team take care of that? Does he need to be like, hey guys, we shouldn't be doing that? Like in every single stream, does he need to say we shouldn't be sexist, racist, or anything like that?
Sure.
Like,
I think
I don't know.
Here's an example. So I'm going to bring up Arcus again. Arcus is a part of a speedrunning group called Speedrunners Keeping It PG, right? Doesn't allow any cussing. Arcus gets between 500 and 900 viewers at a time. Probably got almost 2,000 subscribers, a couple 100,000 followers as well on Twitch. And yes, every time it's brought up, it's, hey, we don't allow that here. He's got a command in his chat. We don't allow that here. Just giving you a heads up. And his mod team is great with dealing with it. But what influencers also have to realize is that it's just like with actors, right? So the example he brings up is Justin Timberlake. He's married, was filming a movie, was at a bar, was holding hands with an actress. They were just working together, but all it takes is one single moment, and now all of that is destroyed. Why? Because being in those positions, you're in the spotlight, right? The government has even come out with laws about reasonable expectation of privacy. You're like you said, we tend to in 2021 connect with content creators. Boogie2988, someone who I've had conversations with a couple of times on Twitter, is someone that I really looked up to. Just seeing going through his divorce and going through weight loss and all these different things, and so you develop. It's weird. It's almost like a relationship, but it's not a relationship at all.
Well,
right?
It's because they you see so much of their life.
Right.
Like, like I think about the lives that I do on TikTok. Like, it's just you see that person as they are. I mean, we talked about this last week, right? This is the problem with the social media thing, is that your life is on blast all of a sudden, and anyone can judge you for anything that you do at any given moment because you're showing it to everybody.
Right.
I don't think that's a good thing.
I don't either
necessarily. But you're right. If you do decide to do that, so if I decide to go live, I'm deciding that if something happens in this moment, something's going to happen, and I'm allowing everyone to see that, and I have to be okay with that. And I make sure to manage that as best as I can. And I say, okay, I'm going to do a live when my son's napping, or when when my wife's at work and my son's at daycare. I'll go out into the woods and go for a stick hunt. Right. So I'm making sure to manage that sort of thing. But there are some people who just they just live everything and they show everything all the time. And you're right. There is a reasonable expectation that you're going to show all of that. But when it comes to being responsible for what other people say, I think I think that there's a middle ground that you have to live in. Sure, should you moderate it? Of course. Right. I totally agree. I think that if you have a moderator team that's dedicated, they should be able to take care of that sort of thing in your chat. Right. And if you see it on Twitter and it gets blown up, you should respond to that if it's related to something that you said or something that you're doing, or someone's responding to you in a particular way. But I don't think that you necessarily need to be responsible for every single commenter or every single follower who says something really just unjustifiably bad.
I agree.
Any time, and I think that you got to take that weight off of the creator's shoulders, because then that makes them the moral bearer for everything.
And that's where I agree that there should be a middle ground there. Not necessarily every single one, but using that opportunity to take 30 seconds of, hey, this guy who's obviously not trolling, who honestly believes that. Oh my God, a girl gamer? Let's pounce or whatever, and say, hey guys, this is not okay. One of the things that Ninja's been famous for is that he refuses to stream one-on-one with female streamers. Refuses. And I see both sides of it. I see his side of, hey, I don't want to be accused of anything. I don't want to put myself in a situation that could be compromising, right? But then it's also on the flip side saying, hey, I can't control myself enough to make sure that I'm above reproach while streaming with some of these amazing female gamers. You know what I mean? So I think it's a balance. I think you're right there. I don't think by saying, hey, it's not my job. No, if it's your stream, it's your job. If to at least address the situation, not every single comment, but to say, hey, this is not acceptable here. Mm-hmm. That's like saying, McDonald's has a prostitute in the dining room turning tricks, and McDonald's saying, it's not really my job to police everyone.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I get it. And I agree that there is a middle ground there. But saying, hey, I'm not going to address it. I don't have any idea with it.
I don't necessarily agree with not addressing it at all. But I guess the thing that I struggle with is like, how do you address that without? Because for me, I don't like the personalities or the influencers that are like, I'm just totally against this and I'm totally against that. That becomes their personality, and that's it. They're
terrible.
They're the anti-racist, anti-sexist, right? And I'm not saying that like you shouldn't be anti-racist. I'm not saying that. Like,
right.
Of course, I'm against racism. But when it becomes your personality trait and that's all you talk about, it's like, okay, we get it. Like, can you provide some content? So I don't know. I struggle with it because
the middle ground is the way to go.
I think that there is a middle ground. You're right. I struggle with putting this moral responsibility on individuals, especially I'm a normal person. I am not designed. My if I all of a sudden blew up and I had 15 million followers on TikTok,
there's no way you could do it by yourself.
I don't know what I would do.
How many, just out of curiosity, how many like messages, emails, things do you receive a day right now?
None really. I get a couple of random comments here and there. I get some Discord messages occasionally. At the beginning, I got like an email every week or so. I don't receive anything right now though.
And here's the thing though. So I'm gonna use you as an example.
Okay.
You just posted a video 2 hours ago.
Yep.
It's already got 51 comments.
Yeah.
All right. And you, being the content creator you are, either likes every comment or responds.
I knew this. I knew you were going here.
And that's hard. Like, there's a reason why if you come into a Twitch chat, go in a Simply's chat. Could you imagine he's got 5,000 viewers? He can't respond to every single thing, right? If someone's spamming the N-word, of course he's going to respond and say, no, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
There doesn't need to be a dissertation of why it's not acceptable. Hey, that's not acceptable here.
Yeah, let me give you an example of something that happened to me the other day. So I opened up a mailbox because a bunch of followers were requesting it, and I got a bunch of. I asked for. I couldn't get the money to do it myself, so I asked for donations, and my followers, being the amazing followers they were, donated so that we could open up the mailbox. Got it open, but someone commented, they were like, "What if I send you a bomb?"
What?
I'm like, that's not even funny. Like, that's not funny at all. It's not. And they were like, well, it was just a joke. I'm like, no, it's that's not funny at all. Like, that's like, I have a family. I have a family. I have a kid. Like, why would you say that?
Right.
And they tried to justify it, and I just deleted the comment and blocked them. Like, you're not allowed on my content anymore because that's ridiculous. You can't say that. So occasionally I get that sort of thing, and I'll respond to that if it's egregious enough. If it's obviously a joke, I'll let it be. But I don't know.
And I think we can kind of let this lie here, but situations like that, they need to be addressed. And Ninja's stance is, it's not my job to address it. They have parents; they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. For Ninja specifically, this is the job you chose, Ninja. This is. You decided to be an entertainer, just like in Hollywood, and there is a small inherent responsibility that comes with that. What you say affects people. What you say expects people. Or I'm sorry, what you say people will do.
Affects
We've seen
people.
that with, what was that, Jake Paul and those guys, and the stupid stuff that they did over the years. Peaks was another one. Jerry Perp drank, from the Vine era.
Mm-hmm.
They would do stupid things or say stupid things, and then let's bring up Jackass. Remember Jackass on MTV?
Yeah.
Where they had to start adding all the warning messages because kids were doing it because they were getting sued and losing. Because the court said, "Hey, guys, you're doing this. You're doing these stunts. These kids are trying it. We're going to hold you accountable." And so being an influencer, it is a balance. You can't respond to every single comment. It's impossible. I don't see how you do it. It's impossible.
Yeah.
But to blatantly ignore it, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
If it's on your platform, I'm not saying go to another stream or TikTok or something and say, "Hey guys, that's not okay." No, but in your own, just like at your own house, I have general rules for my stream is, look, jokes are fine. As long as it's not at someone else's expense. As long as it's not at a group of individuals' expense. I don't allow that, right? Being silly, I joke around about dad bods all the time. And that's okay, that's acceptable. But when you start bringing things about my wife, or females or my children or anything like that, that's when it changes for me. And again, I don't have the perspective that you do of getting those larger amounts of messages, but check it out on YouTube. There's a lot of YouTubers that talk about it. I don't know. I don't expect Ninja to chastise every kid who comes in and drops an N-word or something like that. But I do expect that the expectation is thrown out there that, hey, that's not acceptable here.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, moving on to more kind of very, very recent events.
Okay.
This will be the last thing that we talk about, and then we'll head on out.
All right.
Have you been paying attention to the stock market?
Oh my gosh. How can you not?
And so this has blown up in the past week. If you haven't heard, everyone's heard about Wall Street bets, GameStop, and hedge funds, and the hedge funds being absolutely decimated in the past week. I think total losing $13 billion, $16 billion in the past week, just because of what Reddit, the internet, and TikTok have decided to do.
Elon Musk was a part of that.
Elon Musk leading it. You had other big guys. Hello. This is the first thing that I think I've seen in my lifetime where other than maybe like 9/11 or something like that, where every single person on either side of the aisle, like in the Senate, in government, or whatever, everyone, AOC and Ted Cruz agreed on something.
Right. It's a shock.
That's like mind blowing. Like, what is happening?
Exactly.
So, I mean, if you're able, and she made a couple of weird tweets after Ted Cruz agreed with her, which I don't totally agree with. Yeah. Moving on. But if you're able to get people on completely opposite ends of the aisle to look at each other and go, yes, I agree with you. This is not okay. You're probably doing something wrong.
Right.
if people are against you. Anyway, but the big news being GameStop got what hedge funds were trying to do was they were trying to short the stock. I don't know if you know what that means.
Yep.
If you as a viewer don't know, or a listener doesn't, if you don't know what this means, basically what it is, hedge funds will borrow a bunch of stock from brokers, stocks that don't exist, basically, at X dollar amount. They'll buy them, and then they will sell them to someone else. Okay?
Right.
And they'll sell them at that dollar amount. So, for instance, let's say that you buy something at $1. You're a hedge fund, you buy the thing at $1, you sell it at $1. Well, what you do is you make that stock plummet, and GameStop was looking to plummet because it's going out of business.
Right.
So what would have happened is that stock would have plummeted, Okay, let's say it plummets down to 50 cents. Well, what stockbrokers did then is they would buy it for that 50 cents and then sell it again at that 50 cents. Well, they bought it at $1.
Right.
So they've made 50 cents off of that dollar.
Right.
Right. So it was this weird fluctuating thing of buying and selling, and these hedge funds making a ton of money off of crippling businesses that just were dying. And what you have happening right now is a bunch of people are buying the stock to make the stock go up rather than down.
Right.
And what's happening here is these hedge funds bought millions of stock in GameStop, right? At this one price, thinking that the stock was going to plummet so that they could sell it and profit off of it. Well, if it goes in the opposite direction, these hedge funds lose
money.
Billions of dollars. Billions. Right. Okay? And you saw this happen with VW, Volkswagen back in 2008, Tesla, and Apple both had this happen. It's called a short squeeze. And what happens is after there's a time limit to these stocks that were bought by the hedge funds that they have to sell them back. They have to sell it back, and they have to sell it back at whatever price, or buy it back at whatever price it's being sold at. And guess what? If they bought it at $78 a stock, and then it skyrockets and jumps to $400 a stock, they're having to buy it back at that price, and they're losing the difference rather than gaining the difference. So what happens is all of a sudden they're buying all these stocks, and the stock jumps. So that's what it's. So Wall Street bets. That's what they're waiting on right now. It's looking like it's going to probably happen within the next week or so. If you look at Volkswagen back in 2008, you can see exactly what happened early that morning. The stock dropped, and then all of a sudden it just skyrocketed, and there's just this spike in the middle of the day of that particular day. And I mean, moving away from the money aspect of it, I think this is a perfect example of what the internet community can do. And this is why I love the internet, why I love the gaming community, and why I love Reddit, is because we all looked at each other and we said, this is not okay. What they're doing is scummy. What they're doing is terrible. And we look, and you know what? Gen Z, they don't remember it, but they're living in the post existence of the housing crash. I know you remember it. I remember it as well. I remember that whole period of time because it was scary. It was terrifying. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
And I don't know if you've seen the Big Short film based off of a bunch of guys who saw the housing bubble, happening and made a ton of money off of short bets on the housing market. But these hedge funds guys, they do this constantly, and collectively as a whole, we all looked at it and said, that's illegal. That's manipulating the market. Right. You can't do that. And guess what? Millennials and Gen Z, we all have adult money now, and we don't care what happens. Exactly. You had people literally throwing millions of, I'm talking thousands upon thousands of dollars into GameStop, AMC, which, you see what happened to AMC. No, they aren't showing any movies. And then, funny enough, Nokia was the other one. Yep. And there was a couple other random ones here and there, but the big one was GameStop. And on Wednesday, it jumped. Listen, if you bought GameStop a couple months ago when it was like $17, it jumped to $408. Right, exactly. Share. From 70, and everyone bought all these shares of GameStop, and it just skyrocketed. And I have to say, the funniest thing in the world to me is watching grown men cry on CNBC.
Oh, well.
That has been the funniest thing to me all week. And it's just like, it's hilarious. But again, moving back to the main topic, this is what we can do. This is what I talk about this constantly. Like the community as a whole can do such amazing things. Like I don't think people understand like what you have at your fingertips.
Exactly.
It's so incredible what you can do if you just like realize, okay, let's stop bickering and fighting over random meaningless little things like, well, the Final Fantasy remake was horrible. Oh no, it was the greatest thing of all time. Like who cares? Okay?
Exactly.
Let's look at it together. Let's come together. Let's do this thing together. And guess what? Move forward.
And that's the thing. I mean, the influence of the gaming community is huge. Bringing up Cyberpunk, right? The game that they kept kicking on down the road. Mm-hmm. Well, the reason why the game was released is because the leadership of the company said, hey, our shareholders are saying this game needs to be released now because of all of the complaining, all of the whining of wanting the game. They thought they were going to lose money, so they released a game that was not good, right?
Half-baked.
And then what did gamers do? They complained that the game was not good.
Yeah.
But it was their fault that the game was not good. The developers have been saying for months, it's not ready. It's not ready. Gamers didn't care. Why does it take 8 years to create a particular game? So the influence that we have as a large collective, as a group, is something that's really underestimated and people don't necessarily understand. In this particular situation with the stock market, this community, this Reddit community, was able to do what those hedge fund guys had been doing for years, for a really long time. And one instance of being able to fix that issue, that illegal issue, it brought light what was going on, and it was done by a community. So I agree with you. For some reason, the gaming community is so segmented that if we were to find a way to come to a common ground, I think that we could change the world, essentially. I mean, but we're so segmented of speedrunning is good, speedrunning is not good. PC Master Race, console, Xbox is better than PlayStation. That's what we're worried about.
Yeah.
So super interesting, though, that it was able to have that effect, that it echoed all the way up to the Capitol, which was really cool.
I mean, I don't know if you know about Robinhood, but
yes.
There's now a lawsuit against Robinhood.
Yes, there is.
If you don't know what Robinhood is, it's an app that you can easily sell. You can easily trade stock and cryptocurrencies. And there's a lawsuit out for it now because Thursday morning, they shut off trading, buying. You couldn't buy GameStop, Nokia, AMC, this one random brand called Naked brand. I don't know what the heck it is.
Naked is, I'm pretty sure that's the vape juice company, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. So a meme, basically. And then for whatever reason, American Airlines. They shut off American Airlines for some bizarre reason. And I think there was another one that I'm not thinking of. But
and what was the reasoning they gave?
Their reasoning that they gave is because it's too volatile. The market is very volatile, and we're trying to protect our users. And that's so incredibly illegal. Like, incredibly illegal. Like, it not even on the basis of, like, just, like, they're talking about there being, back alley conversations with the CEO of Robinhood, with big hedge fund managers, and apparently even with the White House, which that's going to get real freaking interesting real freaking fast. And let's say that conspiracy is real. That's going to have overarching implications as far as government overreach. But even just on the basis of we were just trying to protect our users. Yeah, no, that's BS. You can't do it. It's a free market, right? And the internet went on fire. Okay, I was there at the moment it happened because I was like, oh, I'll use Robinhood. I'll give this a shot. I'll take a look at it. couldn't buy any of the stocks. And I was like, huh, that's really bizarre. I'm not even talking 5 minutes later, all over Twitter, all over Reddit, all over Discord.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it's insane. So it's and I think this comes back to the collective mindset of the internet as a whole and gaming as a whole. How available is information at your fingertips that that within a day, millions of people became experts at the stock market all of a sudden, just like that. Millions of people understood how the stock market worked instantaneously, and I don't think I don't think anyone expected that to happen. I knew it could happen. I didn't expect it to happen that fast though. Especially with how it just got. I mean, if you go if there's a Discord for Wall Street Bets, that thing has absolutely exploded.
I'm sure it has.
Another example of what the internet can do. Dogecoin. Have you seen the Dogecoin meme?
I've seen it. Yes.
Okay. So I got in on it early. I made a little money off of Dogecoin. I should have sold earlier though. But there was this big meme when Dogecoin was under a penny.
Right.
It's been selling. It was selling at about 7/10 of a penny. If you go back to the beginning of this year, it was at 2/10 of a penny.
Right.
But people were like, let's make Dogecoin a dollar. Because it's this meme currency. Like every other cryptocurrency has some sort of use in some way, shape, or form. You know, you talk about Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc. Right? All of them have some sort of use. Literally, Dogecoin was created as a meme. That's why it's so cheap. Well, the internet collectively as a whole decided we're going to try to make Dogecoin a dollar, and I think it's going to carry into next week. So if you have $20, $50 lying around, I suggest waiting for Dogecoin to fall below 2 cents and throwing a bunch of money at it and just seeing what happens. Because I did it when it was at 2 cents and it skyrocketed to 8 cents. So for anyone who's curious, that's a 400% increase.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Okay, so if you threw $100 in there and it skyrocketed that way, you would have had a return of about $400. I had thrown 150 in there at different points when it was around 2 cents, 2.5 cents, and I would have had a return had I pulled out at the right time. I would have had a return of $440.
And that's huge.
So, again, it's just collectively as a whole, like seeing what the internet can do. Like, and that's why I always go back to going to AGDQ and me walking around and being like, why isn't there more? Like, there's so many people here and there's so little going on. Yes, you've got the big event and you've got the big, and then all the donations and everything like that. You had the little arcade room, and then you had like people kind of here and there doing things. You had the whole setup with all the TVs, but like I had this overwhelming feeling of like there should be more going on here. Like there isn't that much going on. Like, and I paid a pretty penny to get in there. Like it's not cheap to get into AGDQ. And any GDQ event at all.
Any live type event like that.
I like, me personally, I'm not going to go to a GDQ ever again until they at least revamp that or change it or add something to it, because it's just too expensive.
It is,
and it doesn't make any sense for me to fly out to Orlando or to fly out to any other place to meet up with my friends when we could easily do that ourselves.
The only way I'll do it is if it's in Denver again, which is only about an hour and a half for me, because then I could just drive home every day. Then it's nothing but the cost of gas.
Well, and that's what I did when I was in Orlando. My mom at the time lived in Orlando, so I just crashed on her couch. But it's just like it ended up being just me hanging out with like Dowski and Simply, Kevin Crunch. Those guys, like I hung out with those guys the whole time I was there. I watched a couple of speedruns.
Yeah, but you're not there for the speedruns.
But you're not there for the speedruns, and that's my point, is that like You need more going on. I don't know.
Yeah,
it just upsets me because I'm like, it goes back to what we were talking about last week with GSA. It's like, you can do so much.
Well, speaking of that,
why are you doing more?
I do have an update on that.
Okay.
Just so you know, that section of the podcast last week kind of got some messages from. Okay. I was able to check in with some of the leadership of GSA, and I've kind of got an official quote here that GSA is saying, "Hey, going through a lot right now. We miss everyone, but we will be back sometime this year. Rest assured." I'm waiting with bated breath. Let's say that.
Well,
but in the meantime, we have a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Well, and that's the bigger thing for me is that, like, I get it. I get it. People have lives. I get it. People, get busy, yada, yada, blah, 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 whatever. Right. But it's like, how do you miss this opportunity? I mean, it's been like a year and there's nothing. You've got nothing to show for this whole past year. And that's what's so upset. And I am not backing down on my opinion on that. I'm not saying I don't like the people. I'm not saying I'm not saying I think that GSA is the worst thing that's ever been created. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, like, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed, and I'm like it seems like no one cares. It's
and here's the thing.
Like, what? Why did you do this to begin with? Then, like, what's going on?
And I will kind of leave it on this cliffhanger, I guess. Mm-hmm. 2021 is the year for the gaming dads, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the I know you are, and to end this topic, to like end it, kind of put a nice little present and bow on this topic, right? And I know what this community is all about, and you're dedicated to the community probably more than even I am. I mean, you've been in here. How long have you been doing Twitch? How long have you been in speedrunning?
About just over 3 years.
Exactly, right? You've dedicated your time. You've dedicated something to this. And that's the reason why we made the podcast to begin with, because we were just we are so in love with the community as a whole. We are so in love with video games as a whole, and we see an opportunity. We don't want that opportunity to be missed out on, and we hope that people like come into the community and realize and take and use the opportunity that's given to them. Right. And use it appropriately and make friendships and build things. I mean, indie gaming, like, hello, how many people have created amazing indie games in the past year, like we've been talking about, and it's all been from like the gut of the community. Right. So I don't know. My big frustration with the world as a whole and people in general is watching people with potential not use that potential.
Agreed.
And I look at the community. I'm with the entire time I was at AGDQ. I was there with clenched fists the entire time, just being like, why is there not more being done? That's all I want.
That's fair.
That's all I want. And I know that people have lives, and I know that people are busy. We try to do as much as we can with the podcast, but and we're doing more. We're doing more. We have more ideas. We're trying to push everything out there. So.
And I agree with you, and I try to push fellow community members as well. There are people that'll reach out to me and say, "Hey, how do you do it?" I can't. I wanted to, for example, I had one in this past week. I don't know. But, in this past week, I had somebody reach out to me and say, "Hey, I just started this stream team, and I really wish I wouldn't have because I regret it." And I said, "Well, why?" And they say, "Well, I just don't have time." And I said, "Wait, hold on. What do you mean you don't have time?" Mm-hmm. "Well, I have school and I have work, and then I have home." I said, "Okay, well, do you want to do this or not? If you want to do it, you'll figure out a way." Yeah. I guarantee you, that you and I don't want to get up at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning to record our podcast, but we love what we do. So we make time for that. And so kind of talking with him, and, I don't like to share a whole lot of my personal stuff, but I said, look, I work 55 hours a week. I have 4 kids. I have a wife. I stream typically 15 to 20 hours a week on Twitch. I'm in school full time, coming up on finals right now. And I do a podcast. I do some editing on the side. I'm always doing something. Why? Because that's what I choose to do.
Well, and I think that everyone has this expectation that you have to do the gaming thing 24/7.
And you don't.
You do, and that's the important thing. That's the thing that you need to focus on, is that this doesn't not everyone is going to blow up. We talked about this a little bit. You and I have talked about this a little bit individually. Not everyone is going to blow up. Like I haven't blown up on Twitch. You haven't necessarily blown up in Twitch.
Exactly.
And we are surrounded by people that haven't necessarily blown up. Like, we're not all going to be Simply. We're not all going to be Ninja. Like, it's just not going to happen, And so we realize that, and we say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to stream for 8 hours a day.
Exactly.
You know what I'm going to do? I do it Thursdays and Saturdays typically. I'll get on Twitch and I'll stream for about 2 or 3 hours, maybe 4 hours on Twitch.
Right.
I'll do a live in the mornings when I wake up, after my wife and my son have left.
Right.
When it's just me at the house, and I'll do a live for maybe 2 hours. And it typically that's me just doing stuff around the house anyway.
Exactly.
You do not have to. It doesn't have to be the end all be all of just like I'm dedicating all of my time and energy to Twitch and streaming and gaming and whatever.
And you're right.
Do other things, and listen, you should do other things.
Yeah, you should. I'll tell you, if you go back in my Twitch career, if you can call it that, at the time, I was streaming 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So I would work a 10, 11, 12-hour shift, come home, it'd be 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and I'm streaming until 5 a.m.
Right.
And it literally killed me. It literally killed me and burned me out of streaming on Twitch. So, balance is good. We've got a lot of stuff that we're working on here at the Gaming Dads Podcast. To bring even more content to the communities that we have. So I'm excited to see what's coming for 2021 for Gaming Dads.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of end the podcast here. I think this is a good spot. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
So Discords. We both have Discords. We both, if you need to get into Discord, send us a message.
Exactly.
Twitter. Scotch and Tie Guy for myself. We've got the Gaming Dads Podcast Twitter. You're on Twitter as Tharoah. Everything for you is Tharoah. My kind of stuff has changed here and there. We're both on Twitch. I'm Give Her a Stick on Twitch. Tharoah for yourself on Twitch. Gaming Dads Podcast Twitch channel, though.
Yep. So it's called Gaming Dads. We've actually been getting follows. So
make sure to check that out. We're going to try to. We're talking about it this week. We're going to try to get something together. We'll see what happens. Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts,
Anchor,
we're on YouTube,
everywhere.
Okay, please send suggestions. Please email us. Please show it to someone new. Show the podcast to someone new, even if and you know what, if they don't end up liking it, that's fine. It's totally fine, but we just ask that, if you think we're interesting enough to show it off to someone else, please do. Don't be afraid to show it off to other people. We're just trying to build a community. That's all we're trying to do. I talked about this in my the last episode. I'm building a community around my TikTok, and it's just been so enjoyable. And that's all I care about, is building community. I know you feel the same way about it.
Exactly. Agreed. 100%. Please.
We appreciate all of you listening, by the way, every single week. And this has been fun. This has been so much fun.
Yep, and we're here for you. I mean, to be perfectly honest, that's why we want to know what your ideas are. We want to know what you want to hear, because without you, we're just two guys talking in a microphone. That's pretty much it.
We are just two guys. Well, you sent me the meme the other day. It was like girls go to therapy, men have podcasts.
And create podcasts. That's what it was, yeah. Well, good. So, we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Thank you guys once again for listening. I definitely appreciate it, and we'll see you again next week.
And as always, good gaming.
Absolutely.